The study of the afterlife has crept into the halls of science like Steve Carell from The Office wishing his co-workers happy birthday. Surprise! The afterlife research is in the halls of science.
Happy birthday!
The discussion of the afterlife, according to Dr. Sam Parnia, medical doctor and PhD on the Noor Foundation, he understands that the scientific question of an afterlife has been pushed into the realm of science.
The idea of what is consciousness, what the ancient Greeks called the psyche, which was later translated into the word soul into the English language, in essence, who we are, our selfhood, is no longer a topic for religion and philosophy and should now be and has been pushed into the realm of science, whether we like it or not.
I was like, hi. I was drunk in a bar.
Yes, indeed, this question belongs in the realm of science, and many people don't want it there. They want to shove it out, throw it out like Ron White was thrown into public.
They threw me into public.
If we look back 100 years from now to the present, we'll see this was the moment, the inflection point in which we took this idea and put it into the realm of science.
Dr. Sam Parnia is one of many of the pivotal scientists that have helped place this question into the realm of science, and you can read about it in his new book, Lucid Dying. He says in his book, the recalled experience surrounding death now merits further, genuine, empirical investigation without prejudice. That is one of the most difficult things these scientists face, is the without prejudice part. If you are in doubt whether this question belongs in the realm of science, you are probably unaware of this paper from the New York Academy of Sciences. This paper from the New York Academy of Science has 18 researchers' names on the paper and 13 universities associated with the paper. It is titled The Guidelines and Standards for the Study of Death and the Recalled Experience of Death. According to these 18 researchers and the 13 universities they represent, this is indeed a scientific question. And it says, resuscitation science has enabled life to be restored to millions of people. Millions of people have these recalled experiences of death. And after their hearts have stopped, so their hearts have stopped. We are talking about the subject of post-heart stoppage. These survivors have described a unique set of recollections in relation to death. So we're talking about death here. We're not talking about, oh, maybe I died. This is a death event. So this paper is focused on death and the recalled experiences post-cardiac arrest, post-death. And they are also interested in the issues and controversies associated with the study of this subject. And they are also looking to standardize. They want to standardize and help resolve some of those issues and those misuse of the definition, the proper definition of the recalled experience of death or near-death experience. The recalled experience of death or near-death experience post-cardiac arrest, post-stoppage of the blood flow to the brain is what we're discussing. And you can see a definition, a very good definition from the University of Virginia's Division of Perceptual Studies.
Near-death experiences, NDEs, are intensely vivid and often life-transforming experiences, many of which occur under extreme physiological conditions such as trauma, ceasing of brain activity, deep general anesthesia, or cardiac arrest, in which no awareness or sensory experiences should be possible, according to the prevailing views in neuroscience.
This subject is still going through many phases of development. We still have a lot of naysayers and so-called researchers and so-called skeptics who like to take the definition and twist it into something that helps support their argument against. It is the prejudice against this subject that we mentioned earlier.
We can produce these experiences in a lab. They didn't actually die. It's just the brain. We can't really trust it. Probably a dream or hallucination.
I am a skeptic in the real sense. The skeptical movement, they knew logic very well, so they ask every question, they really bear down, but in the end, they refrain from drawing a conclusion. That's what it means. So when somebody tells you, oh, I'm a skeptic about these near-death experiences, I think it's just the chemistry of the brain, what that person is saying is, I'm a person who doesn't draw conclusions, and my conclusion is such and such. Right?
Be aware of the mockers, the ridiculers, the so-called skeptics that are actually deniers, denying the open-minded approach to scientific investigation, unlike these 18 individuals published in the New York Academy of Sciences. If you are interested in studying the subject with an open-minded, not closed-minded, prejudiced approach, I wonder how many potential subjects out there are for us to investigate. We can read about it in this book, Lucid Dying, from Sam Parnia. It says, assuming that the population is 8 billion people globally today, there may be around 500 million people living with a recalled experience surrounding death. And with our technology consistently improving to bring back people from the brink of death, post-cardiac arrest, there are plenty of individuals to examine with a scientific, unbiased, unprejudiced approach.
Grok AI calculates, with a global population of approximately 8.2 billion, a 5% prevalence translates to roughly 410 million people worldwide who may have experienced an NDE. Higher estimates, 10%, could push this number to around 820 million.
If you are interested in studying the subject with a scientific approach or just a curious intellectual mind, you will probably agree with Dr. Bruce Grayson that nothing has prepared you for this study. He writes in this book, After, nothing in my background or scientific training up to this point had prepared me to deal with such a frontal assault on my worldview. It's not the evidence that's the problem, it's the worldview. Many people cannot let go of their preconceived notions, their biases, to examine the evidence with an unbiased, non-prejudicial approach.
Come, let me show you the evidence.
No, I don't want it.
Let's hope that with the future scientific exploration in the study of the afterlife, post-death, let's hope that we don't have to go through an experience like Max Planck understood.
A new scientific truth does not triumph by convincing its opponents and making them see the light, but rather because its opponents eventually die, and a new generation grows up that is familiar with it. Quantum physicist Max Planck.
It is only delaying scientific progress and medical advancements if we have to wait for certain biased scientists to die off to bring the subject of the research of the afterlife further into the realm of science, where it is already in the halls of science. If you are interested in studying this further, I definitely would recommend the paper that I mentioned earlier. Universities that are interested in the subject were from the New York University, also Harvard was interested in the study, and the Cheeseheads, the Medical College of Wisconsin, the Cheeseheads were interested in the study, and even London, UK was interested in the study. So there's 13 universities that are interested in these studies, and the college that I mentioned earlier, the university I mentioned earlier, the University of Virginia. It has a division of perceptual studies. You can go there and read many publications regarding the subject.
What would you, as your brain function is degrading, what would you expect to happen to your consciousness?
And if you're interested in the study of consciousness after life, I would suggest going to the Bigelow Institute for Consciousness Studies. There you will see a repository of many essays from scientists and medical professionals who submitted these essays for a contest that Robert Bigelow was hosting. Not this Bigelow.
Hi, I'm Deuce Bigelow.
Hi, I'm Carol.
But this Bigelow.
A Las Vegas businessman is plopping down $1 million to find out if there is evidence of an afterlife. Space entrepreneur Robert Bigelow has announced the creation of a new institute that is devoted to research into whether human consciousness survives physical death. He gave his first and only on-camera interview to the iTunes George Knapp.
He decided at a young age to make enough money so he could go after the answers. He admits his interest in the afterlife is in part motivated by heartbreaking losses in his own life.
And so we know by a number of different ways that the brain can cease functioning, but your mind can continue. Well, then where the hell is your mind?
Would it become heightened and vast and more powerful than it's ever been in your normal living state? No. Or would it also become diminished and degraded? And the reality that we see is that in death, as I said, paradoxically, people's consciousness does not start to wither away. If anything, it becomes released more vast and more powerful than it has been. And the idea that it's simply produced by the brain and therefore dies when the brain is dying or dies is clearly questionable and not correct.
Before we cut to a clip and hear from some scientists that have studied this subject for a very long time, let's go back to Dr. Bruce Grayson. In his book After, he says near-death research actually shows that by applying the methods of science to the non-physical aspects of our world, we can describe reality much more accurately if we embrace the science than if we limit our science to nothing but physical matter and energy. So he does not want to limit science. Before we cut to the clips of the top researchers and what their conclusion is from examining the evidence of the afterlife, let's go to the book, The Crossover Experience, and the three authors, the names I'll put up on the screen there. They say that it is no longer necessary to debate the existence of an afterlife. It's no longer necessary to debate. It is now time we begin to embrace and discuss its implications. So we need to discuss and embrace the implications of the scientific exploration and investigation and use it, harness it to our advantage. All right, I can't conclude this discussion without mentioning the father of the near-death experience research, that is medical doctor, PhD, Dr. Raymond Moody. And he writes the book Proof. He is so confident that he titles this book Proof. And what is interesting in this book, he talks about not as much the near-death experience, but he talks about shared death experience. So if you want to deny what you can about the near-death experience, you cannot overcome the shared death experience. Somebody that is sitting right beside the person that has the near-death experience, and they have an experience alongside of that individual. And he says in his book, these shared death experiences do provide proof. They do provide proof beyond a reasonable doubt that the soul survives bodily death. The soul survives bodily death. Let's listen to what Dr. Raymond Moody says and others that have researched the subject thoroughly, unbiasedly, without prejudice. Let's hear what they have to say about the subject and the conclusions of their research.
Is it a rational thing to expect and anticipate that when we die, that there is a further extension? And I say absolutely it is. Yeah, there is an afterlife, folks. And
I just have to say I give up. There is an afterlife, and it's still shocking to me.
That is what Dr. Raymond Moody says, the top researcher in this field, 60 years of research. Let's hear what others have to say about this study and the research.
Is it possible that our consciousness or our mind survives bodily death? There's a wide range of human experiences that suggest this is exactly the case.
The evidence is already out there, available to anyone who wants to read it. The question is already settled, that yes, there's an afterlife, no question about it.
What happens to people's consciousness as they've traversed into that period of death? And I want to emphasize, these are not anecdotes. We have millions and millions of people around the world. Not only were they not dead, as in they were not annihilated, their consciousness, their selfhood continues. Your consciousness is not annihilated when you go through death. It's absolutely clear now.
We have posed the question, is the subject of the afterlife, does it belong in the realm of science? Well, it is indeed already in the halls of science. There is no doubt about that. It is in the New York Academy of Sciences. Okay, many researchers, many medical doctors and medical professionals have written books. They have submitted essays on this subject, have given you many resources and avenues to pursue to further investigate the question that yes, the subject of the afterlife does and is in the halls of science where it belongs.
Oh yeah, the afterlife is in the arena of science, and some are so scared that they will suppress the truth at all cost.
And the only final question we have to ask is, when the light comes, are you going to turn or go into the light?
But those who do what is true come to the light, so that it may be clearly seen that their deeds have been done in God.